Hey, it's AP, and today we are looking at the studio scale Return of the Jedi AT-ST chicken walker from Merlin Models. Check it out. Last month, I pulled the blaster trigger and picked up the studio scale Return of the Jedi AT-ST from Merlin Models. Now, if you like watching middle-aged dudes opening up boxes of nerd ephemera, then you don't want to miss that video. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Now, for those of you not up to speed with your Star Wars vehicles, the AT-ST made its first appearance in Empire Strikes Back during the Battle of Hoth. However, it got some big modifications when they returned for the Battle of Endor in Return of the Jedi. According to the official Star Wars databank, the AT-ST, or All-Terrain Scout Transport, is a two-man craft that is lightly armored and is usually used as a reconnaissance and patrol vehicle. Often flanking their larger cousin, the AT-AT, their smaller size came in handy when it came to navigating the giant redwoods of Endor for the Empire's attack on, and eventual loss to, those cute little merchandisable murder bears affectionately known as Ewoks. There have been many iterations of an AT-ST kit over the years, starting in the early 80s with the official MPC release to the Bandai version that came out sometime in the mid-2010s. These kits, of course, were always great in their own right. I mean, MPC kits from the 70s and 80s are the OGs and have that nostalgia trigger, while Bandai's versions later on came with that detail that us older nerds so crave. And now, of course, 3D tech and 3D artists have made it easier than ever to download and print high-quality kits of various scales. But the problem with 3D printing is you have to do all that post-processing, depending on the way you printed them. And come on, who really loves sanding and filler priming and all that crap? So, when Merlin Models announced they were putting together a 1/24 studio scale AT-ST, I just grabbed my money and threw it at them.
Shut up and take my money.
Now, I haven't done a Merlin kit before, but I've seen their work in the past with their AT-AT kit, so I knew I was going to get my money's worth out of this. I mean, just look at how sexy it is. I mean, look at those legs. Wow. This is a really nice model, and this kit was meticulously designed using photo references from books like the Star Wars Chronicles and photos from prop store auctions. Also, I reached out to the folks at Merlin and they shared that there are researchers that spend their time cataloging all of the original parts used on the props and then finding the kits that these parts belong to. And then they also have relationships with many of the original staff at ILM that worked on the props. So they're getting some pretty darn accurate info to put this together for us. Thanks, Merlin. Now, before I dive into what I love and hate about this kit, hate's a strong word, let's do a quick run through of the build and paint. Now, if that type of brain rot isn't your bag, then fast forward to the end so you can get the scoop on what I love and maybe don't hate or do hate. I guess you're gonna have to find out. All right, but before you do that, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future Make It videos from yours truly. All right, on your mark, get set, go. There's a lot of sweet things about this kit, like these gorgeous machined metal parts. An interesting thing to note about the kit is that a lot of the pieces are screwed on. You'll still be doing a lot of gluing, but I don't think I've ever seen a kit that had so many screw-on parts. I'm not sure if this was how the originals were done or if there was another reason for it, but it's still really neat. Okay, one of my pet peeves about this was that you needed a couple of special things that weren't included, like this snap ring tool. I had to go buy one at Harbor Freight for like $3 to do this part. For the price point, it would have been cool to include it in the kit since I can't imagine a lot of people have this tool on hand or will ever really use it again. Or maybe they do and I'm just being high maintenance. I guess I just need to find some more things to snap ring now. Something must have happened in the casting process because these screw holes don't line up correctly. A small round file or an X-Acto should make quick work of widening it enough so that the screw can get into the metal hole. The Merlin video suggests to just use some double-sided tape to hold the feet to the armature. I just glued them on with CA though. I have kids in the house and I know one of them is going to go into my office and steal a foot if it's not secured down. So, better safe than sorry. Alright, this is important. To ensure you don't strip your stop-motion screws, a C-clamp can come in handy to close the gap a bit. Using this helped make sure I had a tight grip on things. This is another thing that's cheap and one or two could have been thrown into the kit without a huge impact on the price. Am I being high maintenance about this stuff? I think I'm being high maintenance about this stuff. Let me know in the comments below. These are the hips, and they don't lie. Oh, sorry, I couldn't help myself. There are some stop-motion screws that'll be covered by a greebly, so use some VHB tape on the greebly instead of glue to keep them accessible. The Merlin videos are done in a very linear way to really just get an unpainted version of the model upright, and you'll find that to go back and paint, you have to take things apart. Like these awesome spring hoses which I had to remove to paint, which resulted in my busting one of them. So, build this with paint in mind. Just use the Merlin videos as a general guide. Learn from my mistakes. After everything was primed and top-coated with Archive X Armor Gray, I assembled the lower half for weathering. Since I primed and painted everything, I needed to sand the joints a wee bit to get them to fit. It's okay, it'll add to the weathered look. I temporarily mounted the standing rod to a piece of plywood so I could weather everything. I deleted the 20 minutes of me trying to get the bottom of the chicken walker to stand properly because it was one of the most frustrating things ever. You really need to dial in the tightness of the screws and be uber gentle with them because they strip so easily. I used Archive X Armor Gray as my top coat over the primer, and then lightly sprayed Archive X Foundation to add some highlights. Thank you, John Simmons, for the tip there. Then I lightly sprayed some Tamiya German Gray and Tamiya Flat Black to give it a bit of a dirty coat. I then used some Mecha Light and Dark Rust by Vallejo to just get a wee bit of color in there. To add some weathering, I took 120 grit and 240 grit sandpaper to lightly scratch up some of the surfaces. Another great tip from John Simmons. My weathering skills need a lot of work. I'm hoping to do a series on learning different weathering techniques. If you want to see me stumble through that, let me know in the comments below. For now, I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm doing. I hit some of the rivets and recesses with a panel line wash. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing. It doesn't look terrible, so I'll just keep going. Finally, I used my Tamiya weathering kits to add some silver highlights to try and emulate paint wear. I don't think this came out as good as I would have liked. I think next time I'll do some chipping effects instead. Oh, one last thing about the legs. This is not covered anywhere in the Merlin videos. These pieces right here, they go right here under the body. Just keep that in mind when you get to the end and you have these leftovers. It took me forever to figure it out. All right, let's move on to the head, or cockpit, or head pit. First thing, we'll add the hatch. The mechanics of this are pretty simple and are all just pressure fit together. You'll find with this kit that a lot of parts have a friction or pressure fit, which is pretty neat. We'll get more into that later. The way the Merlin guys did this, they had enough pressure to keep the hatch upright. I guess I wasn't fast enough to squoze the hinges to pull that off, so my hatch is a bit floppy. That's okay, I'm not going to be using it much anyway. These little pieces will eventually hold some heat shrink tubing. All right, here's your gluing montage. These really nice metal pieces have a unique peg-to-hole situation, so you should be guided all right here. A little CA glue holds them in place. I really do like the mix of metal and resin/plastic parts. And then we repeat on the other side. So here's one of those friction fit things I was telling you about. Add some CA glue to the stem of the cannon, and then put it in the hole. Keep turning it as it dries. What happens is as it dries, it builds up a layer that closes the gap and allows for friction. You may need to do this a few times to get just the right amount. Just make sure you keep turning the piece, otherwise it could dry in place. This is a neat trick, and I'm sure I'll find other models that I can use this on. Thanks, Merlin. Here's another one of those, I wish they had included it in the kit things. The eye windows have a 0.5mm piece of wire that holds them up. It's optional, but if you're going for screen accurate, quote unquote, you'll want this in there. Now, I didn't have any 0.5mm wire, but I have a ton of resistors. So I just cut the ends off of those, used the handle of my hot glue gun to get a nice curve, and glued them in place. The railing on the top is super fragile. One of the legs broke off of mine. Just be careful here. You can super glue it back together. You're going to need 5mm and 1mm heat shrink tubing for this kit. And yes, I think this should have been included in the kit. Now I have 12 meters of heat shrink that I only need like 20mm of. Anyway, glue the 5mm ones onto the head, and then the 1mm ones will go on the mouth cannon later. The weapons on this thing are awesome. The barrels are machined metal and just give it a sense of, I don't know what, but it's really cool. The circle thing needs to be drilled open so the metal axle goes through with some resistance. Just be careful with the metal rod. The top breaks off super easy. A little CA glue fixes this right up. The rest of the mouth cannon is fairly straightforward. Well, except for this circle piece thing. I could not for the life of me figure out which direction this goes. After a few failed attempts, I believe I got it correct here. Take a quick screen cap if you're stuck on this one. Okay, now the rest is pretty Route 1. The port side cannon requires a tiny bit of surgery on the resin piece in order for the metal to sit properly. Other than that, this is another easy peasy piece. The Merlin guys suggest doing the friction fit thing like we did on the starboard side cannon, but I was having zero luck with that. The hole is a lot larger than the cannon stem, so out of lost patience, I just glued it in place. John Simmons has a great paint tutorial for the head, so I tried to emulate that a bit. I was actually shocked at how few online photos there are of the AT-ST filming model, so between Simmons and my own online and offline references, I just sort of stumbled my way through it. I added some highlights with the Archive X foundation and then gave a similar light coat of German gray and flat black to darken it up a bit. I used flat black to add some additional highlights throughout. I was doing some experimenting with the Tamiya weathering kits. I'm really not digging them. I think this is another one I just need to spend some time messing around with. I repeated my sanding and scratching that I did on the legs, on the head. I really love how this came out. It really adds some nice dimension to the model. I just went light here, don't overdo it. You don't want to have to repaint because you went a bit crazy with the sanding. Because I suck at weathering and I have no confidence in myself whatsoever, I went over the Tamiya weathering powder with some black washes to add more streaks.
These aren't tears of sadness, they're tears of joy. I'm just laughing.
We're in the home stretch. The bottom hoses are short, so it was hard to get them to seat properly in the holes, so I drilled them out a little bit. There we go, much better. I used a tiny drill bit to deepen the holes of the starboard cannon because, why not? And now we pop in the 1mm shrink tube and run the white tubes that came with the kit to them. I actually kind of like this feature because the gun cannon is a bit loose for me, and this holds it nice and tight. This is my proudest moment, the display stand. The kit comes with a very sexy display stand, so of course I had to ruin it. I picked up this stuff from Joann's, rest in peace, years ago because I knew that one day I would be doing an Endor diorama. Well, guess what, honey? Today's the day. I cut it to size, and then before I glued it, I decided to screw down the mounting stand. The screws that came with the kit for the base are machine screws, not wood screws. Oops. Fortunately, I had some wood screws that fit these holes. Just keep that in mind that you'll need to pick these up before you get to the base. I used Gorilla spray glue to hold this down. After I started spraying though, I realized I should try to protect the sides of the base, so I paused and put on some painter's tape. Fortunately, I didn't get any overspray on the sides. Bullet dodged. Once glued on, I used green, black, and brown paint to fill in the holidays. Finally, we can mount the chicken walker and wipe out those rebels and their murder bears. And there we have it, a gorgeous addition to my collection. She really is beautiful, and I love the Endor platform so much. So, what didn't I like about this? Well, there's a few things. The lack of instructions was a challenge, and while I appreciate a good tutorial video, there were some things that just weren't covered or parts that, well, they went too fast. So I spent most of my build time watching and re-watching moments in the videos. I'd much rather have had a PDF with high-res photos and step-by-step instructions versus these videos. Merlin, if you're watching, maybe add chapters to your current videos so it's easier to jump around for future builders of this? I don't know, just a suggestion. Also, better close-ups of the parts and where they go for those who are watching on a phone or an iPad would be super helpful. And also, if you're watching the videos, it's done in an order that's really just about getting it upright. If I were doing a full tutorial video on how to build and paint it, I'd build some pieces, paint some, continue to build, and so on. Now, the Merlin videos do call out when to not glue something so you can paint it, but still, having an instruction manual or video on how to do this with painting in mind would be great. Oh, and also, there's no paint instruction. I spent a lot of time searching the internet for reference photos. I was surprised how few reference photos there are of the AT-ST, oddly. And paint is just not my strong suit at all. Fortunately, John Simmons did a video where he painted the top part, so that provided a lot of inspiration for me. Thank you, Mr. Simmons. You are a modeling genius. Next, the armature, while super fun, is a pain in the butt, and the screws are super fragile. I over-tightened one, which busted the threads, so now one of my feet is just a limp appendage. Just be super careful when tightening these armature screws down. You just really have to kind of like tighten it and then, kind of feel the tightness and just not go beyond that. You get it. You get it.
You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Finally, this is so nitpicky, and I know the real model makers out there are going to raise the hell out of me for this one, but you need some additional materials that are not included in the kit, like shrink wrap and a tiny wire for the windows, a snap ring wrench, and some other things. For the price point, the premium price point, and how cheap those things are, I'd much rather have gotten those included in the kit than an oversized coin. Now, it's a nice coin, don't get me wrong, but I don't have space for this, let alone a gigantic coin that is probably just going to go in a drawer. I got my wrench at Harbor Freight, my snap wrench at Harbor Freight for like $3, $4, and I got about 10 feet of heat shrink wrap off of Amazon for like $6 that I'll probably never use again since I only really needed 20 centimeters, I think. So if anybody wants some heat shrink wrap, let me know in the comments. And you pay for postage, I'll send you some. All right, so let's end on a high note. It is a gorgeous kit. Now, unless you want to scroll through tons of files on Thingiverse to find STLs that you can print on an SLA printer, then go for it. But this is really going to be the go-to studio scale AT-ST kit. that people are going to want to pick up. The details are just ridiculously perfect, and the castings are pristine. There was like zero cleanup at all on this. Zero cleanup on a resin kit. Zero cleanup on a resin kit. Yeah, look at my X-Wing or TIE Fighter. Let's talk about cleanup. The stop motion armature is a neat feature, but after the headache of trying to get this into just this pose alone, plus the stripping of the screws, I'm not ever going to touch it again once I get it into its final spot, wherever that ends up being. So did you build this kit? What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't grabbed one, I will leave a link in the description. It is a great addition to any modeler's collection. And for those of you who aren't modelers, you can even buy a built and painted kit from Merlin directly. If you like this video, leave me a comment, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it does help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Also, check out some of my other model making videos, like my studio scale X-Wing or TIE Fighter builds. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, now where the heck am I gonna put this thing?